What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're just out on the BBSHD mountain bike out in River Falls again. I came out here the other day, but my bike was creaking, so really bad again, and I had to scrap a whole video because of creaking. And let's go mountain biking. I saw somebody up there. It looked like they were in a t-shirt. That's unheard of. All right, let's go. Let's go through here. All right, we're on the BFH. We're warming up. So these leaves might be a little moist today. It did rain yesterday. So how are you boys doing? What e-bike are you riding? Let me know in the comments. What e-bike are you ripping around on? Oh. Somebody was asking me if they were telling me that they want to ride on the streets, and they were asking if they should get a BBSHD or a hub motor. I don't know. Riding on the streets, I would just get a hub motor. I wouldn't mess around with the mid-drive unless you have some reason to. Like riding around on the trails. Some of the advantages of a mid-drive are the motor is not in the wheel, right? So there's advantages to that. You don't have to deal with the torque arm. Easier to do bike maintenance. It's kind of like a normal bicycle, basically. Since the mid-drive goes in your bottom bracket instead of the wheel. So if you were to bring your e-bike to the bike shop and you had a motor on it, like the BBSHD mid-drive, they would probably be more inclined to work on it. Oh. Whereas I think one of the reasons that bike shops don't like working on e-bikes is because the hub motor is just a big pain in the ass for getting the wheels off. And you got to be careful about like torque arms and mounting hardware. I think bike shops don't like working on e-bikes because of liability reasons, is what I hear. I think if you ride a bike, you should be able to like work on your own bike. And maybe with the exception of like, you know, if you need, like just for convenience sake, you just want to pay somebody to mount some new tires, or you want to pay somebody to do some bike work that you don't have time to do yourself, but you pay somebody else to do it. That makes sense, right? Going to the bike shop for that kind of stuff. Or like tune-ups, like just bring your bike to the bike shop for like a tune-up. So it's nice having a bike with a mid-drive where the mid-drive doesn't change it a whole lot. It's still mostly a bicycle. And the whole bike shop situation is one of those reasons. There's other advantages to mid-drives though. Your wheel isn't as heavy, right? So that's the unsprung weight or unsprung mass or whatever. What other advantages are there? They're usually torqueier than a hub motor. And if you have gears on your e-bike, they can take advantage of your bike's gearing. If you put the BBSHD on high voltage like I have it, you don't need many gears. You just want it geared really low so that the motor can spin really fast. When you put it on higher voltage, it definitely increases the torque too, as well as the speed, I've noticed. That's kind of the main thing. I would say that's the main thing about the BBSHD is the torque. It's not necessarily, it's not great for like riding around on the streets, just like high speed, I don't think. The chain can get kind of noisy. You can do it with the BBSHD, right? Like if you've got gears on your bike, shift through a couple gears and you can get around on the streets very efficiently. I rode my BBSHD fat bike for like a year, pretty much only on the streets. And in many ways it is better than a hub motor. So I get what the Johnny Nerd Out type of people are talking about and what they mean by that. But I mean, if we're talking about a 48 volt e-bike or a 52 volt e-bike, and I had to choose between a Bafang BBSHD 1000 watt mid-drive or the Bafang G62 1000 watt hub motor, on a fat bike, I'd probably rather have the hub motor, right? Like the G62. Because when you're on 48 or 52 volts with the BBSHD, you kind of need gears. And the motor gets a little bit warmer, so you can't really like run it as hard as when you're on high voltage. Whereas when you put on high voltage, like I said, you just gear it really low. And you don't really need gears. You can just do field weakening if you need to go a little bit faster. The creaking has returned slightly, but it's not nearly as bad as yesterday. It's getting worse as I'm going around out here, but I think the chicken wire on those wooden bridges back there helps quite a bit. Kind of just taking it easy, going slow. Even doing a little bit of pedaling because it is wet out here. a little bit moist. I've got a street tire on my rear tire. And the harder that the more power I give it, the more you can hear that creak. And it's not nearly as bad as yesterday, but I want to hopefully upload a ride here without too much of that. I don't know that I can really say that I've ever mounted the BBSHD on a bike without it making like some kind of noise eventually and having problems with that mounting nut eventually. I think part of the problem is that if you use bottom bracket spacers to space out the BBSHD when you install it, the bottom bracket spacers don't exactly fit the spindle of the BBSHD, and there's a little bit of like room in there where the bottom bracket spacers can like shift around and stuff. And the bottom bracket spacers, like I have to use 3 of them, 3 separate bottom bracket spacers that are each about 3 millimeters thick to get the 9 millimeters of spacing on this bike that I need for the BBSHD. So I think part of the creaking might be those 3 bottom bracket spacers in between the motor and the bottom bracket shell. And I need to find something better to use for that than bottom bracket spacers. It just seems like everybody uses bottom bracket spacers for that. But I'm thinking that could potentially be what the creaking is those bottom bracket spacers that I'm starting to hear the creaking quite a bit now. It's a bummer. Anyways, we're out here riding. You guys will have to let me know in the comments if you can hear that creaking and how annoying it is. And perhaps if you have any suggestions on how to permanently fix that. I want to get the bottom bracket spacers out of there and then find like a single piece of metal tubing or something that's the same, like that's like a little bit tighter on the inner diameter, but where it still matches up with the bottom bracket shell in terms of the outer diameter of the spacer, the tubing that I use. Because I have a feeling that three aluminum bottom bracket spacers like in between the motor and the bottom bracket shell are potentially part of that creaking problem. Because the last few times that I remounted the motor and it started creaking, it didn't seem like the lock nut was coming loose at all. It seemed like the whole motor was just able to like twist a little bit, and the lock nut was still like on there really tight. It's definitely something that kind of happens like over time. Cause I didn't hear it at all. I totally unmounted the motor earlier. I thought I did have it sorted out. I didn't hear it the whole way over here. But as soon as you get out on the mountain biking thing, the mountain biking trails, it's just like your bike will just start like rattling apart. It's crazy. So I saw Juiced e-bikes ghosted out of business. They're going out of business or something. Or I'm calling it ghosted out of business because what the fuck is that? Crazy hissing noise back there. Juiced e-bikes, they're ghosting out of business, I guess. There's like they owe like almost $1 million or something, $900,000, and all their bikes say out of stock. It doesn't seem like they're selling any more bikes or producing any more bikes, and they're ghosting all. There's like no customer support. Everybody's getting ghosted. Nobody can get a hold of them. And I've seen some channels cover it, Juiced e-bikes going out of business, but it's still kind of like, it doesn't seem like anybody really knows what's going on. It's just kind of like, that's what seems like it's going on. But it seems like people in like I joined a Juiced e-bike owners group on Facebook, and it seems like there's a lot, and on Reddit too, there's a lot of people talking on Reddit about it. And they're concerned about like warranty support and customer support. And those are valid concerns. If an e-bike company just disappears, and that Juiced, they were kind of like an established brand. They've been around for a while. They're not just some little e-bike company that popped up out of nowhere with a 5 or 6 letter capitalized name from China or anything. It's Juiced e-bikes. I think it was a US based company, and their bikes seemed pretty, their bikes seemed pretty good, like the Rip Racer. And I mean, I feel like their bikes were pretty popular. Like I've just, within like the last 6 months, I've seen a number of channels get a Juiced bike, review a Juiced bike. And I think they just came out with new bikes. Like there are a couple new bikes, this year, not even like half a year ago or something. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some big debt or something that they couldn't pay back, and there's a lawsuit filed against them, and people are speculating that like the guy, I don't know if it's the founder or who it is, but it might be like abroad, on the run or something. So that's kind of a bummer. So yeah, there's a lot of people on Facebook and whatever, Reddit, talking about it, about what that means. Now that it appears as if Juiced is ghosting up business. I'm not sure what you can really do about that in terms of like getting customer support or any kind of like warranty claims or anything. I mean, I don't know that anyone can really expect Juiced to help them with anything like that if they don't have any employees and they're not selling bikes, and it appears as if they're just kind of ghosted out of business. So I'm just kind of rolling around slow today, guys, so that we don't hear too much creaking. And I'm doing a little bit of pedaling as well. I have a Vesk. I'm using a Flipski 75100 Pro V2 controller. Link in the description. Use code EVB for $10 off at flipski.net. But yeah, I'm using the Flipski, and on Flipski, which is a Vesk controller, open source Vesk. Check it out. But I've wrote a script for Vesk that does the freewheeling, that makes the BBSHD kind of like keep spinning, and it's doing like 100 watts, just like a couple amps, and it just kind of keeps you rolling like this, and it keeps the drivetrain engaged, so that when you do hit the throttle, the chain is under tension and there's no slack in your drivetrain, and it's smoother. It's kind of a mid-drive trick, a script that I wrote. So it's kind of nice for just rolling around, just having the motor slightly going. But then if I want to sit down and start pedaling, it's still helping me out just a little bit, kind of like a low pedal assist. So like if I want to start pedaling right here, like we're pedaling, I've got resistance. My bike is geared really low, so I can only really help pedal when you're going slow like this. But that's kind of like the main time that you wanna help an e-bike motor out, right? Is when you're going super slow. That's the best time to help it out. So even though my bike is geared very low for the high voltage BBSHD, and I don't have any gears that I can take advantage of, I can still kind of pedal it when it's the most important and when you would want to pedal it. The low gearing is nice for pedaling, like especially if you have to pedal home or something. Like this is pedaling home up hills gearing. I've pedaled home many times. With this bike, even though I just have the one gear. Let's hit some jumps up here. I'm slowly easing my way back into the jumps after I crashed. After I crashed, my arm is still like not totally back. So I'm still a little bit sketched out, but here we go. Oh. Arms, it's getting better though. I think especially now that I came out here and started riding out here a little bit more. It was kind of irritating at first and it hurt a little bit, but I think that's what really like accelerated the recovery of my arm. And the strained muscle was getting back out here. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people are about like as far as going back to the juice bikes things. It seems like a lot of people are like concerned about the warranty support and like support in general. But the thing about e-bikes is a lot of it is pretty standardized, like the motors. and controllers, like all the motors are very similar. And all controllers are all very similar. So it's not hard to find somebody like me that can figure out, you know, how to get a motor hooked back up to a controller, right? So while it may be an inconvenience, and that's one of the reasons that you buy it from a company, is for the warranty support and returns or RMAs and stuff. It's a bummer that you can't do that, but it shouldn't be hard to find somebody, or else just to learn yourself, you know, how to potentially fix your e-bike. I'm going slow through wet leaves. Still nice and colorful out here. Hard to tell where the trail is in spots. We're going up the North Berm. Oh. Ooh. Man, I can just hear it's got to be those bottom bracket spacers are what's creaking. I mean, it's either the bottom bracket spacers are creaking. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It sounds like it's coming from down there. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know, my torque arm, the stabilizer bar for the BBSHD maybe. I've got it bolted into a riv nut in the seat tube. But I think it's those bottom bracket spacers. I gotta figure out something else for that. I don't think it's too bad, especially if I'm not on it too hard. GoPro battery, you're struggling today, man. Holy fuck. Alright guys, I might have screwed up that first screen recording and I didn't have my screen orientation locked. I don't know, so I think I might have been on the wrong screen in the VESC app too. So here's the VESC recording. We've started up, we should have it now. Okay, so the screen orientation's locked. We've got it on the right screen. Okay. Alright, I think we're good to go here. I mostly hear the creaking like when I'm going over bumps and stuff, or else when you're like when the motor is torquing. Man. Kind of a challenge with the BBSHD, get it mounted on your bike in such a way where it's not making a bunch of noise and being crazy. It's a crazy thing to strap onto a bike, that's for sure. The thing about creaking noises is it's hard to doctor out with the audio. The audio enhancements in Final Cut Pro can't really get rid of like terrible creak action going on. Ooh. Nice day out though. Honestly, it's kind of just when I hit bumps is when I hear it mostly. It's kind of weird. I'm just thankful that McDonald's had some deals again today. And that there isn't that empty void in my stomach like the other day. That was tough. McDonald's didn't have the fried deal for one day. Like they didn't have any deals. And I was like, what the heck's going on? Oh man, we're doing pretty good though. It's not creaking too bad. If I stop talking about it, it won't be so bad. I'm manifesting it. Oh. So juice e-bikes, that's a bummer. But I think for the most part, it shouldn't be a big problem unless somebody has a problem with their battery or something. That would be a bummer. On my first e-bike, it was an event in Cinch, and I had a problem with my battery where some wires melted on a hot, humid day. And they were able to help me with a whole new battery. So that was nice, and I was able to fix the battery where the wires melted. Actually, it wasn't a problem with the battery at all. It was just some wires melted. I think some of the electrical stuff was kind of loose. I think the whole battery, like over time, the battery tray the screws started to come loose, and then the battery was like rattling around a little bit, and then the vibrations were causing arcing or something, and some heat built up in one of the wires. And then I was going down a gravel road one day on a hot, humid day, and the wires melted, and I had to walk back 10 miles. And that was the day when I learned about range anxiety. And battery problem anxiety. Because other than that, it was a good e-bike. Never had any problems with it. And for an e-bike, it actually came pretty dialed in terms of like the derailleur and the shifting. And the brakes were bedded in, and they were properly installed, and like the brakes worked really well. Even though there were mechanical brakes on that bike, like they worked really well. Oh, that was a miscalculation back there. Yeah, so even on American-made e-bikes, American companies, they still have problems with batteries and stuff too, because a lot of the stuff isn't American-made. Even the U.S. e-bike companies, they're just assembling Chinese parts, right? But I do think that companies like Electric Bike Company, where it's an American-built bike, even though the parts are Chinese and whatever, I think that as long as there's some accountability and somebody professional putting it together, I think that is a step in the right direction. And so I think a lot of the problems with bikes and like shifters and like when you get your bike having problems with it, a lot of the times that's like a shipping problem, like shipping and handling problem. I think a lot of bikes, like, it's just a hard thing to put in a big box. I mean, you need some serious foam or like some serious packaging on a bike for it to arrive unscathed. Most e-bikes, they just put them in a big box, and there's like some foam wrapped around it and like zip tied on there. But I've seen some e-bike manufacturers where like the whole it's got like really like custom like molded foam and stuff for the packaging, and that's probably the way to go. I mean, you would literally have to fill the whole box with some kind of foam or some kind of padding or something to prevent damage to a bike in transit. And then you have to put a picture of a TV on the box so that the shipping company doesn't drop it. and they're careful with it. That's a trick that a lot of e-bike companies do with their boxes, is they put a picture of a TV on the box. And apparently shipping companies take better care and handle TVs more carefully than bicycles. And just anecdotally, every time I've ordered a bike and it's been shipped in the mail, like, it doesn't matter like what company it was, or like something always happens. And I mean, a lot of times it'll happen just in your driveway, like when the guy is taking it off of the truck. And it's like, what? They like drop it off the back of the truck 5 feet. And it's like, dude, what is going on? Like, you can be standing right there and they don't care. Like, they'll just, I've bought normal bikes that come delivered from like FedEx, and they'll literally just like tip the bike over like flat, or like drop it off the back of the truck right in front of you, and they'll just be like, sign here. It's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Shipping bikes is a problem. Sometimes people leave me comments and they want me to like build them a bike and then ship it to them in the mail, and I'm just like, you gotta set expectations for that, because like, I'm hesitant to like build bikes for other people from the get-go, just because of like the liability. But like, and then to ship a bike through the mail to somebody, like, I don't have any confidence in that, and I don't want to be held responsible for that nonsense. Like, so I don't know. I mean, so far, I just work on my own bikes and build my own bikes, and I share my adventures doing that. I've helped other people with their bikes and their builds, just like giving them advice and stuff, consultation kind of stuff, talking with people. I like doing that. If you're thinking about doing an e-bike build and you want to do a consultation, I love talking about bikes and planning out builds and stuff. But I always encourage people to like build it themselves, because when you build something yourself, like, there's a certain amount of like, you're accepting like responsibility, and like you're taking accountability for what happens and stuff. Like, if I build a sketchy e-bike and then I ride it out and I crash it, like, I don't have anyone to blame but myself, you know, like, and I'm completely okay with that, and I can live with that, right? I'm not, if I do something silly on my bike and I get hurt, it's my fault, and that's it, period. But we live in a world where people are very litigious. Everybody's kind of looking for somebody to blame whenever they have a problem or a setback. People just want to blame it on somebody else, and not only blame it on somebody else, but then make them pay for their mistake. Like, you know, pay to fix it, or like pay to replace it or something. And in a world of Amazon returns, where you can just return anything at will, like, you can like buy something and break it and then just return it, and it doesn't even matter, and stuff like that. And like, nobody even like looks at the returns. In the world of Amazon returns, it's hard to be that small business guy, especially on like high price items like an e-bike. Like, if you build an e-bike and then ship it to somebody and there's some kind of like a problem or like a chargeback, you know, for thousands of dollars, that's a problem. What the hell is going on here? Stop. So yeah, I mean, I've sold things on eBay. I've sold things online. I'm no stranger to people and how they behave on the internet in general, and doing business. And so, like, building one-off e-bikes and then shipping them through the mail and hoping that somebody isn't going to do a $3,000 chargeback. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? Like, I'd maybe, like, help friends build e-bikes and stuff, but it's still kind of like teaching a man to fish kind of thing. Like, if something goes wrong with it, it's not going to be my problem. Right? Like, I mean, I'll help them fix it, and it will be my problem in that sense. But, like, I'm only going to build a bike for somebody that, you know, is willing to take responsibility for their own actions and isn't just an idiot on the internet. And when you're dealing with people on the internet, you pretty much have to operate under the assumption that everybody you're dealing with is an idiot. Because most of them are. To be honest. But yeah, I'm open for consultations, stuff like that. I'm trying to make this e-bike thing into a bigger thing here. Get more serious about this. But I don't know if it's gonna include building bikes for other people. I think it would be cool to build a bike, to like design a bike in CAD or something, and then like build one. It would be cool to do, to like build a bike, you know, like a custom bike. There's a lot of metal work and stuff that goes into that I have no experience with, though. These are a little wet back there. I have experienced 3D modeling, so I'm sure I could figure out CAD. My brother's a welder. I don't know if he likes working on bikes. Like, working on thin metal tubing is apparently, welding it is apparently a lot different than like the big, like, heavy machinery, like solid metal kind of stuff that he welds. So I'm not even sure if that's something that he's interested in doing, but maybe. It'd be cool to build the custom bikes, like a frame. I think if you build like a custom bike frame, like, there's not a whole lot of liability involved with a custom bike frame. Unless something happens with like the frame itself, you know? Like if the frame snaps and you can somehow prove in a court of law that there was some like manufacturing flaw with it, with like the metal work and the welds or something. Like, unless, you know, I think there's a lot less liability like selling a bicycle frame as opposed to like a whole bike as a unit, like a complete vehicle. Especially with a battery and stuff. Like, shipping lithium batteries is like a big nightmare. I mean, for a while, Amazon was selling 72-volt unit pack power e-bike batteries that eventually got recalled for being dangerous and hazardous and fire hazards. But Amazon was selling them just like a normal item without any hazardous materials labels. And so, I mean, they were just probably flopping down the conveyor belt and bouncing around in the FedEx trucks. You know, and the FedEx people were probably just throwing them around. And nobody even knew that it was like, you know, a e-bike battery, lithium battery. like a 16-pound one, right? Like, not something you want to be throwing around off or have it rolling around in the back of an Amazon driver's car. So yeah, I don't really want to, I'm not interested in selling high ticket bicycles and batteries and stuff like that, and shipping it, doing business on the internet and then shipping it. Like, I don't want anything to do with that, but I'll do consultations for sure. Right. Oh. I gotta do some research to figure out something else that'll work for my, instead of bottom bracket spacers for the BBSHD. I saw some guy one time, he had some kind of tubing or something. I gotta measure the diameter of that, like that bottom bracket spindle part on the BBSHD, and figure out something else. What else is going on in e-bike world? I don't watch a lot of e-bike stuff on YouTube anymore. I don't know. It's just kind of like all the same. In fact, I barely watch any e-bike stuff on YouTube anymore. Just when I'm like super bored. I'll probably hit the penalty rut. I'll probably watch more e-bike stuff on YouTube in the winter. But man, those YouTube ads have been getting really bad. That's been part of it. All those ads lately, like leading up to the election, are pretty insufferable. I haven't, like, if I'm on YouTube and I have to watch one of those ads, I just like click out of YouTube and go somewhere else. I wonder how much it costs to run political ads on repeat on YouTube for like a month straight leading up to elections. And the ads are getting so crazy and ridiculous that I don't even know like what they're talking about or what's going on with them. Like this ad will come on and it's talking about some political, you know, some political ghoul person, and they're just talking about all of the most terrible. It seems like the ads are just designed to invoke some kind of like emotional response of disgust, and you know, like the ads just, they make you want, they try to make you against some political person, right? Just all of them. They're like a smear. It's like a character attack. Like they take all these clips out of context from the past, every little thing that the person ever said, and then they take this clip from 10 years ago when the person said something that now seems contradictory or whatever, and it's just crazy, the political ads. And sometimes there's ads and they'll be like, they'll be like, don't listen about this, that's a lie. And it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about anyways. So like, it's like these ads, and they have like some background like thing that you're supposed to understand, but it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, and this ad doesn't make any sense to me. It's a pointless ad. The ads are getting pretty bad. It's getting pretty bad. And they just like, they're this really like grainy footage, and it's kind of like they shoot them like a horror film or something, where it's just kind of like this jarring colors and visuals, and the screen is all like grainy and like shaking, and it's just like hard to watch it. It's like it's watching some like kind of like, you know, like bad horror film with like bad special effects. It's crazy. And so I don't want to politicize my content at all. Whoa. I don't want to politicize my content at all, so I'm not going to endorse or make, you know, I'm not going to endorse anyone or politicize anything, but I mean, I'm seeing some ads for Kamala on YouTube, and I can't tell if the ads are for her or against her. Like, I honestly can't tell. It's like it's some kind of clown like joke ad, or if it's like, if it's serious, like it's some, I don't know, or like I can't tell. It's crazy. Some of the ads. I will say that the whole Kamala, I don't know how to say it, guys. I don't follow political stuff at all, but I mean, I totally forgot about her, that she was even the vice president. I mean, I totally forgot about her, and I didn't even know she was there for like 4 years. I totally forgot about her. Like, I didn't even see her do anything. Like, did she come out and do one thing ever? I don't know. So yeah, we're not politicizing anything. I don't want to get any crazy comments. I'm not endorsing one or the other, really. I don't want to get into it. We're just out here riding a bike. But what I would say is that it's kind of sad that it's presented to us in such a way where it's like we're led to believe there's only two options, only two valid options out of all of the possibilities. We are fed this system where we're given two choices, right? And it's just like, and you can get all political and go all out, you know, you can go into how that makes sense and whatever, I don't care. But in a world of infinite possibilities, anytime somebody gives you the idea or tells you that you have like, you know, like two choices, it's just kind of like, are you sure? Like, unless it's just a binary thing that's like inherent in nature, right? I mean, in terms of like selecting political people and like finding individuals that can fill a certain position in the government, you would think out of all of the people in the world, all of the people in the country that you could choose as an option, there would be more than two choices that are presented in such a way where it's kind of like this, you're either on this team and you're with us on all these things, or you're on that team and you're with them. Like, it's just like, there's no nuance. There's no nuance. It's very like tribal, and it's like picking a package. It's like a, you know, like it. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't watch the news, and I don't follow politics, and I think the whole thing is fucking bunk and rigged and bullshit. And the two political parties, are just an illusion of choice and a distraction from how it really works behind the scenes, that just keeps people distracted and fighting against each other. Instead of saying, hey, what is going on here? Why aren't we getting anywhere with any of these issues? Like, that's what I think. What I think is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you vote this way or if you vote that way. It's all just a bunch of bullshit. And they're just gonna do what they're gonna do. So, lost my foot right there. That was a little sketchy. Or it just about came off the pedals mid-air. That's my political opinion. I'm not for any or against any of the two choices. I'm against the whole fucking thing. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And they're just clowning you and punking you. And by voting, it's just a vote of your, it's just giving your consent to the whole rigged system. You're just signing up for it. And they've got your signature of approval. One common theme with politicians is they make a lot of promises and then nothing ever happens. And then it's always kind of like, I think in a lot of sense, like politicians and human individuals and people, they're kind of like used as like scapegoats for like failures of the system as a large, as a whole. Like if it's kind of like, is there a problem with the system, or is there just like this one person that we can blame the problems on and it's all their fucking fault, and if only we could just all cast our votes and get some other person, you know, get this bad person out of that position and get the good person, and then this good person will fulfill all their promises to us and fix everything. And it's just like, it never happens. Like, never happens. I'm, in terms of political stuff, I guess I'd be more of like a libertarian or something, but I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, is what I think. And I think you're all getting punked if you're still watching the news or paying any attention to any of it. You're just getting punked and you're getting deceived. Wasting your time and your energy.
GoPro's going dead. Sorry guys, we're not having much luck with the screen recordings today. I guess if you get a phone call, it stops the screen recording. I didn't realize that. That's a bummer. But I think we're going again. Let's carry on. We're back at the joyride. Going through the Enchanted Forest section. Oh. There's a large amount of mosquitoes hovering right here. But I have so many layers of clothes on that it doesn't matter. Sorry if you guys can hear the creaking. I tried to go a little bit slower today and hopefully prevent it. But man, as I go along, it's just getting like worse and worse. I gotta get those bottom bracket braces replaced with something else. That's just one piece. Now look at that scene over there. Wow. Very pretty. It's a pretty zone. What time is it? 4:12. Alright guys, I think I'm gonna call it for this because the bike has started creaking quite a bit. You're gonna have to let me know if it was tolerable in the comments. But it was a fun ride out here. It was fun riding around. I'm gonna turn on some field weakening. Let's go to FOC. Field weakening, let's turn on some of that. Let's turn on a little bit of that. Go back here. All right. So it's 4:13. Let's see here. How many? Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get back into town and do some stuff. So we're gonna cruise back with a 72-volt battery. It's been a good ride. It's definitely those bottom bracket spacers. Like I can hear the creak over here, and it's like it's coming from exactly where those are. So I think maybe that's my creak all along. Because I mean my lock nut is on there. Like that thing is on there. Here we go. So what I think the problem is that's causing the creaking is that when you install the BBSHD, your bike's bottom bracket, the spindle of the BBSHD goes through it, you know, so sometimes you put spacers on and then the spindle to space the spindle out so that the spindle is kind of like spaced out a little bit. And so I have 3 spacers. There's 3, and people usually use bottom bracket spacers. But the bottom bracket spacers, the inner diameter of them doesn't exactly match the spindle size of the BBSHD. So there's like kind of a gap. Like the bottom bracket spacers, they can like shift and jiggle around. It's not a tight fit on the BBSHD. And this is just like a cheap aluminum hardtail mountain bike that costs a couple $100. So it kind of like flexes a lot and stuff. The frame does, and like there's some flex in the rear of the bike, like under the torque of this motor. Like I think it kind of flexes a little bit. But I think that since I have 3 separate bottom bracket spacers in between the motor and the bottom bracket shell, spacing it out, like they kind of shift around and like. Like one space, like there's circles, right? But like one can kind of like offset from the other ones. And I think I'm gonna have to look at those spacers and see if they got all funky in there. But basically what I need is I need one spacer that is 9mm instead of 3 spacers, and then I need my spacer, I need the inner diameter of it to match the BBSHD spindle really tight, so that the spacer itself, so that there's just like, it can't possibly move anywhere. And then I'm hoping that that will solve my creaking problem.
was a good ride. I think I could still upload this one. The creaking, it didn't get too bad until the end there. So, but I think it was still tolerable. So make sure you like and subscribe. If you like these kind of rides, BBSHD, mountain bike, vlog rides, make sure you like and subscribe to follow me along on my e-bike adventures. I'll do a consultation if you want. If you want to build an e-bike, I can do a consultation, but I don't know about like building a full bike and shipping it in the mail and stuff. Like, I don't want to deal with that. Someone's been emailing me lately that I've been talking to a little bit. That might turn into more of like a consultation or something, so we'll have to see how that goes. That'd be cool. I wanna keep going with e-bike stuff, get more serious about it, and maybe turn it into a thing here, because YouTube is starting to take off a little bit. And we're starting to see some results on YouTube, so that's good. So I thank everyone who has liked and subscribed thus far and supported me in the past. Especially those of you who have supported me on Buy Me a Coffee. Because that helps a lot. Because YouTube doesn't pay very well. So people like No Info Found, and Old Man E-Bikes, the big supporter on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate you guys extra more for that support. That really helps me out, because I've been making e-bike videos and doing this for quite a while, and for years it was just like a big hole in my pocket on my wallet. But it's starting, even just the YouTube ads even just the YouTube ads are starting to like produce a little bit of something that like I can, like a little bit of money where I can, like, you know, a couple $100 a month or whatever, that helps out. It's not like I can, it's not like I'm some kind of like a full-time, this is still just a passion of mine, kind of like a hobby. Like, I don't do e-bike stuff full-time. So I think 2025, I think we're going hard on e-bikes next year. We're going to be stepping it up. So stay tuned, boys. Stay tuned for that. Man, it is chilly out. What do we got here? It says it's 56 Fahrenheit. This is the part where I'm going to turn off field weakening, because I have so many big hills that I need to go up. My phone turned off again. Did it turn off here? What is going on? Oh my god. I don't know if we got any screen recordings today, guys. That's a bummer. We had so many problems with those all day. We had a lot of problems with the screen recordings today, but we got out. Let's turn off that field weakening. There we go. Right at. Thank you. Okay. Let's get this baby going again. Okay. There we go. Now we turn field weakening off, because we're going to be going up a bunch of big hills. Now we don't need field weakening. Thanks for watching, all guys. Like and subscribe. That's it. Stay tuned for more e-bike builder adventures on the BBSHD, as well as my hub motors. My brother welded my bike frame for the dual hub bike. I don't know. I might do something different with it this time. I'm not sure. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We're gonna be building, maybe I'll even make a video like building that bike back up from the frame. I don't know, because that's what I gotta do. So I can show you guys that, and then we'll have a hub motor bike I gotta do a whole bunch of maintenance on the Cheetah, the How Chi Cheetah. That thing needs a lot of maintenance. Like I ran that thing so hard into the ground. So I gotta I haven't had a chance to do maintenance on the Cheetah for a while, but we're gonna get the dual hub bike probably back together here. I might even put the BBSHD on it, my fat bike BBSHD. I don't know. But stay tuned, guys. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Later.